Speaking of form over substance, we're gonna
Good
move.
segue, good
We're
segue.
gonna move on here to Ron Desantis, or Ron DeSanctimonious, Meatball Ron, Go-Go Boots Ron. You know Ron, the guy in Florida, passed all these draconian immigration laws. We've covered this a bunch of times, and now immigrants are fleeing Florida, which we've talked about before. Immigrants are 1 in 5% of their workforce. They're 20% of their workforce, right? So Florida is really struggling right now, and businesses are really struggling to find workers to fill these jobs. And so we're gonna jump in with this is Morning Joe on MSNBC, and I don't know, I forget this guy's name, but he's gonna explain it to us. The exodus of workers.
A new immigration bill in Florida is set to go into effect tomorrow. It centers around migrant workers who make up a large portion of the workforce in the state's key industries.
1 in 5.
Reporter Daniela Pierre Bravo traveled to Florida to investigate how the new law will affect the agriculture industry. Of course, one of the state's top economic drivers. And Daniela joins us now. Good morning, Daniela. What did you learn?
Hey, Willie, good morning. Well, first, that the effects of the bill have already started. Immigrants without status are leaving the state and have left the state in fear of the new law. Second, the implications of these immigrants leaving could extend beyond just individual cases. It could bring larger economic and labor concerns.
Yeah, no shit.
Here we grow spinach, chili, a little bit of everything.
22-year-old Flor came to the U.S. from Guatemala 3 years ago, and on any given day, she's joined by other workers at this farm in Homestead, Florida. But today, she's doing the job all on her own.
There were 7 of us. The truth is, the other 7 already left. They already left to other states.
Flor's colleagues have abandoned their life in Florida in fear of Governor Desantis' new Senate Bill 1718, which will bring sweeping changes to Florida's immigration law when it takes effect on July 1st.
We are acting with the strongest measures yet. We're proud of the legislature for stepping up and for getting this done.
Among other provisions, it requires public and now private employers with 25 or more employees to use the federal E-Verify system to confirm workers' immigration status, imposing strict penalties on employers who hire workers without status, and criminalizing transporting undocumented immigrants across state lines.
In the pandemic, these workers were important. They were vital. And now they're being repaid by this slight from Governor Ron DeSantis. They're in panic. The news felt like an impact, a hurricane, like a tornado warning coming towards them.
Flor is one of the estimated 772,000 undocumented people living in Florida, a state that's home to the 3rd largest share of agricultural undocumented workers in the country.
Within the agriculture industry in particular, we know there's at least 130,000 seasonal and migrant farm workers who come here to work. Now, we know at least 60,000 of those workers are undocumented, but likely that is a conservative estimate.
Juan says that he's already seen empty farms and workers leave the state.
I've seen it in Homestead, I've seen it in Palm Beach, and in Tampa.
Agriculture is...
So it's just crushing the state. I mean,
you're legitimately setting up a situation where there are not going to be enough workers to be able to actually fill the functions that need to be filled.
Right, and this was all a political stunt. I think he did it. He's running for president. He's like, I want to show the base that I'm hard on immigrants. Right? Oh, and I'll give you this. We covered this before. We got a shit ton of hate comments that were basically fuck the immigrants. And I don't know how to respond to those people other than, okay. I mean, they were all white men too, by the way. All of them were white guys.
Of course they were. Without immigrant workers, those jobs are going to go unfilled. There will not be enough labor to actually fulfill these functions. But furthermore, if the illegal labor goes away.
Well, they're not illegal. I want to qualify that, but go ahead. If the labor goes away.
If the labor goes away, it's also going to create huge issues for your individual wallet, because what is this going to do to the prices?
Oh, yes.
Prices of things.
Supply is going to plummet.
Right.
And demand's going to stay the same. Yeah, so prices are going to...
Prices are going to go insane, and people are going to be sitting there, gee, why is the price of insert thing here gone so high? People are going to be griping about that, not realizing they're literally doing it.
Well, that's the thing, which is so interesting, is it's like, okay, you look at Florida, which is big, but it's like even across the country, if all the undocumented workers left tomorrow, just quit, the economy would fucking collapse. I mean, it's a house of cards without those people. Right? This whole country is built on immigration. And it always has been. And we've talked about this before. I mean, if 2 million people came up from South America and Mexico and Panama and all that, fucking unemployment would be like 0.5%. And the job market would be full. For the most part. We're close to it. Right? But the problem is that we just don't have that. And, you know, we have a really screwed up system on how we do all this stuff. But the bottom line is, when they come here, okay, so people think undocumented, they think illegal. Right? But that's a Republican trope. That's not true. They're not illegal. A lot of them are here legally. They just don't have documentation yet. Right? And they can work. And we allow them to work. They pay taxes. They don't get any benefits from paying taxes, but they pay taxes. They're not getting Social Security, but they're paying for yours. And you guys fucking hate them? And you guys bitch about, well, we don't want to pay for student loans, or we don't want to pay for public school, or we don't want to pay for this or that, but you got immigrants paying for all your shit. I mean, come on. Let's be fair. If we're going to be fair, let's be fair. Let's be substance over form on this one. Right? Because that's the reality. Right. And the reality is now that they're leaving Florida, why is this big news story? Because it's going to crush their economy. And that's why you have all these people from the policy institutes and all that stuff coming out going, all right, this is what's going on. We are fucked. Because Ron Desantis wanted to run for president and has to play to a racist base. And this was his big play, and he didn't even think about what the consequences were going to be. But now Georgia, Louisiana, all of a sudden they got a big influx of undocumented workers from Florida. So they're going to have good years. Their economies are going to do great.
Yeah.
Literally shoot yourself in the foot. Literally, like, you have a beautiful wife and you beat her, and then she runs away with another guy, and then you're like, why did she run away, man?
Oh my God.
Because you're an asshole.
True, though.
You're an asshole. That's why she left. Oh, we're going to watch some more of this, because this is just good shit. I mean, it's like the blind leading the blind when it comes to conservatives. They just have no clue.
Often thought of as almost the employment of last resort, particularly for native or documented workers. Given the situation in Florida right now, and really nationwide, with a low unemployment rate, it's going to be even harder to convince people that these are jobs worth taking.
Ermila is one of those owners having a hard time finding workers. She's had experience working with undocumented immigrants and worries a fear around the bill will drive even more workers away.
They're the ones with the experience. They're the ones who can tolerate the heat. Workers with legal documents look for work in offices, in restaurants. Many workers have already left, and many of them still have planned to leave. It's not going to be easy. If they're leaving because of fear, it's not going to be easy to find more workers. If it's harder to find workers, business will go down.
what happens, especially for those seasonal workers that aren't set to come back until September and October?
It's likely that those workers, they simply skip Florida entirely on their sort of path. And when you have parts of that supply chain missing or parts of that production process missing, it becomes that much harder for the people who are left to do their job. And so you're going to see further exits from agricultural work, regardless of whether or not someone has a documented status or not.
So what about the long-term consequences?
A lot of the crops that they produce can also be produced in other states that are not going to maybe have these same labor problems. If this sticks around and workers respond to it, which we have evidence to say that they will, it's going to likely change the geography of agricultural production, particularly for those crops that Florida is known for.
What Governor Desantis has done is dehumanized immigration, and he's made visible a serious problem, an underground world that already exists in Florida and the rest of the United States.
I asked Flor if she has plans to stay or leave Florida.
Bueno, yo no me pienso ir porque
I'm not planning on
tengo
leaving.
un niño, tengo un hijo. Y
I have my boy here.
Pero la
I have
verdad,
a son.
aquí-
He was born
aquí
here.
nació,
I have a
aquí.
wife here.
aquí tengo muchas cosas. Ya ir a
Leaving for
otro
another
estado
state
es
is
como
like starting from zero.
empezar de cero.
I reached out to the governor's office for a response on addressing specifically economic concerns and labor shortage worries that we've been hearing from farm owners. Their press secretary reiterated that this bill addresses only illegal immigration, as they chose to word it, and that the bill is a solution to companies hiring them instead of Floridians. But experts
I love that. Illegal immigration, as they worded it. I like how she put that too, because it's not illegal to be undocumented. At worst, it's like a parking ticket. It's not illegal. It's not a crime. It's not a crime to come to the border and ask for asylum.
Right.
And a lot of these people, they just want to work and take care of their families. So,
Right. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
That's all that's going on there. But let's see. I wanted to look at this real quick. So this was, because I know everybody's going, screw the immigrants. I know we're going to get a billion of those. But before you guys type in your nasty comments, here is New American Economy, examining the economic contributions of undocumented immigrants by country of origin. Okay. 2019, there were more than 4.2 million immigrants from Mexico who lack documentation. They make up 40.8%. Right? So you're talking about 10 million undocumented immigrants, 10.3 million. And then what else they have? They had El Salvador, India, Guatemala, and Honduras are the other four big ones. More than one half of all undocumented immigrants from Mexico live in just two states, California and Texas. The vast majority, 96.7% of Mexican undocumented workers are working and contributing to the economy and are vital and critical to American industries, including agriculture. 11.5% of the workforce in agriculture. That's huge. 1 in 10.
Oh, man.
Construction, 6.7%. Tourism and hospitality, 3.4%. Given the productivity and their numbers, Mexican undocumented immigrants are significant economic contributors to the American economy. In 2019 alone, they earned almost $92 billion in household income and contributed $9.8 billion in federal, state, and local taxes.
Yeah, that's not nothing. That is not insignificant.
They took our jobs. Yeah, because you're out there picking oranges, asshole. Come on, man. Yeah, no, like I said, they all left tomorrow, the economy would crumble. You be at the
Oh
grocery
my God, that agriculture number is so high. I mean, if you have 11%
of your food
labor force, right?
is
Right.
coming from these workers.
Oh my goodness.
Think about it. You go to the store tomorrow, and all of a sudden, apples are $10 a piece.
And everyone wants to know why.
Right. Well, and then you forget like simple things like grain or corn or whatnot that are in everything. Milk, right? Any sort of dairy, eggs. Fucking everything has eggs, right? Cheese, all that.
True.
I mean, not just the produce aisle, but every product in the store. All of a sudden, you have to make it with something. It's not like it's made in a machine. It's not Star Trek.
Right.
It's not like I ordered it and then the machine just made it out of nothing, right? So.
Oh my god.
Well, anyway. So, we got enough of that. So that was the news. We're done with the news. No more news.